Have you ever felt lost, untethered, searching for something more? Welcome to Angelic Footprints, where the spirit meets the road on a journey to self-healing and rediscovery. I'm Dagmar, your host, psychic medium and seasoned traveler. Each week, we'll explore the world of angels and personal transformation. We're going to dive into compelling histories and captivating mythology. You're going to hear remarkable, real-life angel encounters and discover how you too can connect with the angels guiding your path. Whether it's through practical tips, meditation techniques, or stories that resonate deeply, Angelic Footprints is here to light your way. From mystical journeys to profound self-discovery, let's embark on this transformative journey together. Are you ready to find your angelic guide? Then subscribe to Angelic Footprints today and step into a world where angels walk beside you every step of the way. Angels, spirituality, healing, let's ignite your transformation. Hello and welcome everybody to today's episode of the Angelic Footprints podcast. I have a special guest with me today and his name is Dr. Robb Kelly, PhD, who is a sought-after recovery expert who believes in treating the causes of addiction and not the symptoms. Dr. Kelly has appeared on such shows as The Doctors, Eye Opener, Good Morning Texas, and Ken 5 Morning News. A frequent contributor to radio and print interviews, including The Jim Bohannon Show, Miracles in Recovery, USA Today, and he has participated in McLean Hospital's Harvard Medical School study on the stigma associated with mental illness. He has lectured on addiction and trauma at high-profile universities, national conferences, treatment facilities, public schools, churches, business organizations, and hospitals. Dr. Kelly shares his personal highs and lows as he struggled and overcame crippling alcoholism in the November 2019 release of the book, Daddy, Daddy, Please Stop Drinking. Dr. Robb, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Welcome. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Dagmar. Hey guys, my name's Dr. Robb Kelly. I'm over in San Antonio, Texas. Though, as you can tell by my accent, I'm originally from Manchester in England. Arrived in Texas about 19 years ago. I came over here for 2 weeks for a conference and decided never to go back again. So we created the Robb Kelly Group. We specialize in childhood trauma, depression, PTSD, memory loss, addiction, alcoholism, and anything to do with sight without medication is what we really do. We've got 5 offices around the world. We've got, maybe 6. San Antonio, Dallas, Texas, Manchester, London, Switzerland, and Spain. So we do pretty good. We've helped over 10,000 patients is what I've been through over a 25, 30-year period. And I'm really happy to be there today.
Oh, wonderful, Dr. Robb. Thank you for telling us about that. And I do hope that our listeners will connect with something that you say here today and do get in touch with you. But for now, I want to talk about your angelic experience that you mentioned to me that you had in Manchester. Would you like to tell our listeners about that, please?
So first of all, I've got to say, guys, I wouldn't tell this story for about 20 years because I thought people might think I'm crazy, but I'm homeless. I've lost everything. I've lost my children. I've lost my wife, my houses, my cars, my license to practice. Everything's gone. And I'm sat on the streets homeless for 14 months. 7 suicide attempts, and on 2 occasions it worked. And I died on the streets of Manchester, and he brought me back to life. I hated those paramedics for that. I just didn't want to live. So one morning around 2 or 3 o'clock, and so good being on an English show because you know what I'm talking about. Back end Manchester, they got the offices, got the factories, nobody there, middle of the night, pouring down with rain. I'm stumbling around because I'm just coming out of another alcoholic stupor. And I dropped down to my hands and knees, and for some unknown reason, I started crying like a baby. That cry that comes from the stomach, the aching stomach. I'm sobbing and sobbing. Now, the interesting thing about this whole deal is I wasn't crying because I'd lost my children or my wife, blah, blah, blah. I was crying because the first time in my life I realized I couldn't stop drinking. I looked up to the sky and I said, if there is a God, because I didn't believe in God because I'm molested by my priest, if there's a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. About 30 seconds later, a guy walked round the corner. He had a little Bible in his hand. He'd missed his last bus home from a Bible study, and he'd taken a walk on a shortcut that he'd never taken before. So he's been walking an hour, came upon me, told me he was a Christian, recovering alcoholic, took me back to his house. I bathed for the first time in a year, shaved, all that stuff. And I sat down, we had coffee, and we were talking about stuff. And he said, hey, here's the deal. You can stay here for as long as you like, Rob, but you've got to come to these AA meetings with me. I cannot have you drinking in my house. Well, I didn't really want to go, but I went because I could stay there. But while I was there, this is when it all started to change. While I was there, sure enough, the old guys just doing the same old moan stories. But this guy said, my name's John and I'm a recovered alcoholic. And I remember looking at Derek and saying, what did he just say? He said recovered. So now I'm a little angry at this guy because we know we can't recover from that stuff. But he taught amazing. He spoke out the book we have there. He spoke about God. And after the meeting, I went over to him and I said, hey, John, my name's Rob. Will you sponsor me? And he said, no. And then we paused for a second and I was waiting the ground to open up and swallow me. I was so embarrassed. He said, I will be a spiritual advisor for 12 weeks. So every Wednesday, I would leave Derek till 6, walk to his house, got there for about 5 to 7, couldn't go up until 7 o'clock. That's one of the things. Stayed till 8, halfway through a conversation, 1 minute to 8, we stood up, he walked me to the door, he bid me a good night and closed the door. I did that for 12 times. And I knew that when I came out of his house for the last time, he told me my life would change. I kind of believed him, even though I was on a block mattress in Derek's basement. And sure enough, the next day, I was offered a part-time job, which later turned into a full-time job that week. So after about 2 weeks, I get my pay packet, which, as you know, back in the day was cash stapled to an envelope. That's how long ago it was. And I went to the gas station, the petrol station, and I bought John a little teddy bear, probably about 4 inches high. That's all I could afford. And a card. And I wrote one to the card and I got all my stuff and I walked back to that man's house. And I'm so excited to tell him, I've got a job. I've been working with people like me, making sure that I'm giving them help for alcoholism and drug addiction. And I went up to the apartment. I'm so excited and knocked on the door and there was no answer. So I knocked more. And the woman on the right-hand side came out and says, can I help you? I said, yeah, where's John? Has he moved? And she said, John, who? I said, John, your neighbor. Oh, I've only been here a couple of months. I've never seen anybody in that apartment. I'm sorry. She closed the door. I went to the left-hand neighbor. I knocked on there. Big guy came to the door. What do you want? So where's John relocated to? He said, John who? I said, your neighbor, John. He went on to tell me that that apartment was derelict. And if I was to walk through the door, I'd fall 2 or 3 flights down and probably kill myself. So I'm thinking these guys are crazy because the stuff he's taught me, John, is mind-blowing about life, philosophy, God. So the next day I went back to the meeting where I'd met John. And as I walked through the door, the chairman was like, Robert, awesome to see you. And I was like, thank God for that. I thought I was going insane. I said, does John still come here? He said, John who? I said, the guy who was over near the coffee machine, asking will he sponsor me? He said, no, I'll be his prep. That John. And he said, Rob, we thought you were praying or talking to yourself. So we left you alone. There was nobody there, Rob. You were speaking to yourself. We've never found that man, but he's one of the reasons we have a 98% where the nearest one to us is 9%. And we have been going strong and healing people after that day. And now we're over in America doing the same. And when I got wealthy, I got the best private detective agency in Manchester. Nobody could find it. Nobody has ever heard of me.
Wow. Well, I've got to tell you, that story gives me absolutely crazy goosebumps, and it's just so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that amazing story with all of us. And I have absolutely no doubt that you had some divine intervention. Do you believe that to have been your angel?
Only been the way because what's happened since there is about 25, 30 times where, again, I'm putting, I went in for a back pain, they overdosed me, I dead, somebody woke me up, they're not supposed to be there. I mean, I got cancer in esophagus, they called my parents and down for the final x-ray, the cancer disappeared. I mean, it's all this stuff that's been happening to me most of my life since that day. So it has to be some kind of angel. I 100% agree that it is. Too many things has happened in my life for it not to be.
Well, you're absolutely meant still to be here. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. Can you tell us a little bit? I mean, you've already mentioned how that has changed your life, but what would you say would be the biggest influence that that has had on your life?
And first of all, I messed my first life up. And my children were taken from me ages 1 and 3. The last thing my daughter said to me was, Daddy, Daddy, please stop drinking, as the authorities marched him off down the path. I got to realize that we get 2 lives in one lifetime, people who go through what I've been through. So why don't we take chances in the second lifetime? And that's what I've done. I mean, I don't say no to anything. I push the envelope. I take risks, calculated risks. And it's this kind of attitude, Dagmar, that I have today. I signed an office lease in Dallas a couple of years ago for $1 million. People thought I was insane. How do you sleep at night, Dr. Robbie? You must be, what's the worst can happen? What can they do to me that I haven't already done to myself? I mean, what? You're going to take the office of me? Big deal. I'll get another office. So it's that not caring what people think about me. That's the number one fear that everybody has. And secondly, I truly believe that I can do anything we want. So we go from homeless here to being the most successful addiction doctor here, who works with A-list celebrities, actors, movie stars. We give 25% of our earnings back to charity, back into addiction houses. Is almost, well, it's humanly impossible, I think. But once I had that spiritual awakening, I believe I can do anything. And now we're just going into studies of Alzheimer's and dementia. So we've had a couple of patients that we've trialed and tested with a 13% recall of short-term memory where everybody else has failed. So we're excited. It's still exciting times. It really is. I'm never going to retire, Dagmar.
Well, I actually don't know what that word means. It has no meaning to me whatsoever.
There you
But
go.
I love your story. I love the way that you're helping people, and that's obviously part of the divine plan. Dr. Rob, would you like to share a way that people get in touch with you and maybe they can contact you through any books or messages that you might like to share with the group?
Of course, yeah. So my name is Dr. Robb Kelly, ROBBKELLY.com is the website. Jump on, follow us on all platforms. Just put Dr. Robb Kelly, 2 B's, remember, in any search engine, up or pop. Come and chat, come and say hello. If you need anything, message us. We just want to be here as an example to anybody that's struggling. And you have to believe that if you are struggling, A, it's temporary, and B, you are meant for better things. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Now, you mentioned a book earlier. Would you like to share details of that with our listeners?
Yeah, and so it's called Daddy, Daddy, Please Stop Drinking. So let me tell you real quick about it. That's my daughter there. You can't see it, guys, but Dagmar can see it. And that's me wasted on a visit. When I assaulted my wife with a knife one night because she wouldn't let me finish drinking, I cut her 3 times. She was taken to hospital. I fled to Spain because there was a murder charge out on me, or attempted murder. But she lived, came back, took the children, and I got them back the next day from my attorney. He'd been to court. I took him into the living room. I put me in front of the TV. I walked into the kitchen. I'd been sober for 3 days. And I thought it wouldn't be a great idea just have one drink to celebrate the kids coming back. 2 days later, when the police kicked the door down, and I'd been in a stupor for 2 or 3 days with bottles all over the place, and the children had been fed or changed nappies. I can actually say nappies instead of diapers. So the police kicked the door down, and they kicked me away. They served me with unfit father papers. I stumbled to the door. Mum had Charlie, my eldest, and mother-in-law had my youngest. And they walked down the path. I'm there, they're there, the police are there, there's child services, child protection services. There's about 10 people. And as they walked away, I'm sobbing. Even one of the police officers was sobbing. And my daughter turned around and she said, Daddy, Daddy, please don't go. And then further down the path, she turned around again and said, Daddy, Daddy, please get better. And as they got to the wrought iron gate, they opened it and she turned around one more time and says, Daddy, Daddy, please stop drinking. That's where the title of the book comes from. So it's a story from, I grew up on council estates, I worked the doors, I didn't manage to go to college, went to Oxford University through Freemason friends. But I got to tell you guys, after 30 years of my daughter being estranged from me, she sent me a message on Facebook 4 years ago in the middle of the night here. And it said, Dad, she called me Dad, Dagmar, after 30 years. I have that framed on my wall. I want to see you. I've got something to tell you and show you. And the next few hours, we have people around us for that stuff. Next few hours, we're on a plane back to England. And we get there, they stayed in the hotel, walked round to her house. I was so scared. Before I knocked on the door, she opened it. We held each other, we cried, we laughed for a few minutes. She took me by my hand, she walked me into her living room and she handed me my 3-month-old granddaughter. That girl is my lead therapist in my Manchester office today. So that's what the book's about.
Wow. You've actually totally left me speechless and I'm astounded. So it's such an amazing, amazing story. And, everything has a connection, doesn't it? Everything
Oh,
that goes around comes around, doesn't it? And I'm so glad that you got to reconnect with your daughter and with your granddaughter. Dr. Robb, what would be your final messages to our listeners today? If you had a message that you would like to share, what would that be?
there was a guy that went to the Golden Gate Bridge over here, threw himself off and suicide. They police pulled him out the water, went back to his house for next of kin. He lived on his own, found a note on the kitchen table. It read, I'm going to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge, throw myself off and commit suicide unless on the way there, which was an hour's walk, somebody smiles at me, somebody nods, somebody says good morning. If that happens, I will stop right there, turn around and I'll try again tomorrow. Question I'm going to leave you with, guys. How many people have you passed today who's headed to the Golden Gate Bridge?
There's a very deep message. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And maybe we all need to remember a little bit about that little bit of kindness, whether it is a smile, whether it is a nod, whether it is helping your neighbor. Can we all do that for each other? Dr. Robb, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the program. For all our listeners, I do hope you get in touch with Dr. Robb. There's bound to be a beautiful message there for you in some way, and perhaps that he even can help you. So I do hope that you've got something very special from today's show. In the meantime, if you found this episode valuable, please share information about the show with 3 people who you believe would find it beneficial. If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a 5-star review on the platform where you're listening. Until the next episode, blessings, and may your life be filled with hope and inspiration.